In this video, we are going to be evaluating formulas. So let's make sure that we understand what it means to evaluate a formula. So to evaluate is basically just means that you're going to have some values. They're going to give you some values, and you're going to substitute those values. Okay, so after you substitute, then you're going to try and simplify. All right, so for example, we're going to evaluate a formula for an engine efficiency. So let's kind of talk about what these values are. So here's kind of the idea of this is your efficiency formula is your heat input. That's what the I stands for, minus your heat output. Divided by your heat input. Okay, so that's what those letters represent. So to evaluate a formula for engine efficiency, where we have the nearest thousandth, we have our heat input at 24,000. So our E is going to be 24,000. And we are subtracting out the P. This P again is our heat output. So we're just going to be subtracting out 8,600. And then we are dividing by the 24,000. Okay, so we throw this in a calculator. 24,000 minus 8,600 is 15,400. We're going to divide it by 24,000. And that's going to equal a 0.6416. And we're going to round that to 3 decimal places because we're going to turn it into a percentage. So for our decimal, we're going to round that to this decimal place is 0.642, which is 64.2% efficient. Okay. All right, so it depends if they just want kind of the decimal version of it, but sometimes just turning it into a percent kind of makes more sense for the values. All right, next one is we are evaluating the formula for a total resistance. So this RT is your total resistance, and we have 2 resistance. So to figure out your total resistance, you're going to multiply the 2 resistance divided by the sum of the 2 resistance. And so we have 10 ohms. This little U-shaped thing represents ohms. Ohms. All right, so for our formula, we have our RT is going to be, we have 10 ohms. Get rid of the extra parenthesis. We have 10 ohms times 6 ohms. So 10 times 6 divided by 10 plus 6. So we're looking at a 60 over 16. And so that's going to give us if you divide that out, throw that into a calculator, you're going to get a 3.75 ohms is our resistance. Okay. And then our last of our formulas here is evaluate the formula for simple interest. This is our simple interest formula. Interest is just going to equal your principal, your initial amount, times the rate, times the time. And so here's what they give us. Say for a principal is, so we're evaluating for the principal, if an interest is $94.50. Rate is 21%, so we're going to do the decimal version of that, 0.21, and the time is half a year. So 0.5 for your year. So your formula is PRT. Our interest, we know we earned $94.50. We didn't know what our initial amount is, but we knew our rate was 21% and we knew our time was 0.5. Okay, so we're going to try to solve this equation. So if you multiply these two together, that is going to be 0.105, and then we'll throw this times P at the end, just to kind of, you could absolutely put it after the P, but it just kind of has a better feel if you put it in the front. So because it's all multiplication, the order doesn't matter to it. And then we are going to be dividing by the 0.105, 0.105. And then if you throw that into the calculator, this turns out for your principal, those would cancel. This would turn out to be $900. So if we invested $900 at 21% for half a year, we would earn $94.50. Okay. All right, and then last couple is we are trying to solve for a specific variable. So we're trying to isolate. All right, so if this is the one that we're trying to solve, we're trying to get S by itself. So anything that's not an S, we want to get out of there. So this subtraction of C, we want to bump over to the other side. We want to undo it. So we'll add C to the other side. Now the difference here is we can't add those two together. So since we can't add those two together, that's okay. Our S is going to be by itself and we can't add them together. So the best pretty much that we can do is that. It could be C plus M or M plus C, the order of that. Doesn't matter because it's addition. And then the very last one is we are solving for R. So if we're trying to get R by itself, so we have I equals P R T. And these are all multiplied together, so I'm going to be undoing them with division. So I want to get rid of the P and the T, so I'm going to divide by AP, divide by AT. That way the T's go away, the P's go away. Oops, cross that off a little better. That's going to leave your R all by itself. So R all by itself is going to equal I divided by P. Okay, so a little bit more complicated because you don't have any numbers in there, but the math is exactly the same. These are multiplication, we get rid of multiplication with division. This is subtraction, we get rid of subtraction with addition. Okay, and that was a couple of evaluating problems. Formulas, again, basically the word evaluate is most likely they're going to give you some value, you can plug it in and then try to get yourself an answer for it.